Have you ever had one of those days where you just feel great, really refreshed, energized, like your body's just humming along perfectly?
Oh, definitely.
And then other days, maybe you feel a bit sluggish, kind of heavy, like something's just off.
Yep, know that feeling too.
Well, we also don't think about it, but behind the scenes, your body is constantly running this incredibly sophisticated internal cleanup operation.
That's right.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the honestly fascinating world of human excretion. Our mission, to really unpack how our bodies get rid of waste, why it's so vital for every single one of us, and maybe reveal some truly surprising facts about this continuous life-saving process.
Yeah, and our source material for this deep dive gives us a really comprehensive look at human excretion. It provides a great foundation for understanding these, incredible biological processes.
Yeah.
We're going to try and pull out the most important bits, breaking down the complex stuff into insights that are hopefully easy to grasp so you walk away really getting it.
Okay, great. So let's start right at the beginning. What exactly is excretion, and why is this whole internal waste management thing so incredibly important for, our survival?
Right. So at its most basic, excretion is your body's essential cleanup job. It's the removal of unwanted and crucially potentially harmful metabolic waste substances.
Like taking out the cellular trash, basically.
Exactly. Think of it like that. It's the trash your cells produce every single second, day in, day out.
And that harmful part you mentioned, it's really key here, isn't it?
Absolutely critical.
Because if this waste, this stuff we don't need, isn't removed, it doesn't just hang around doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
It can actually become poisonous.
Precisely. It can rapidly become toxic, leading to significant harm, messing with organ function, and in severe cases, it can even cause death.
Wow. So this isn't just about feeling good or bad on a given day.
No, it's fundamental to staying alive. And to handle this constant need, the body has what we call excretory organs. Think of them as the dedicated cleanup crew. They're always working, identifying, and getting rid of these toxic byproducts.
Right, the cleanup crew. I like that. So we get what excretion is and why it's so vital. But if our body is this super meticulous waste disposal system, what exactly is it throwing out? What's on this do not keep list? I mean, beyond the obvious things we might already guess.
Yeah, it's actually far more diverse than many people might think. So first up, you have things like urea and uric acid.
Okay.
These are what we call nitrogenous wastes. They're basically byproducts from your liver breaking down excess amino acids, from the protein you eat.
Right, leftover building blocks.
Exactly. And if these build up, they are definitely harmful. Then you've got bile pigment.
Bile pigments?
Yeah, they're actually formed when old red blood cells are broken down, also mainly in the liver. They're part of what gives urine its yellowish color, actually. And again, if they accumulate too much, they can be harmful, so the body needs to diligently remove them.
Makes sense. What else?
Well, of course there's water. Now, water is essential for life, obviously, but you take in a lot of it, and you need plenty of water to help flush out those nitrogenous wastes we just mentioned. So any excess water has got to be removed to keep everything in balance. And then there are mineral salts. Things like common salt, sodium, chloride ions.
Stuff we need, but maybe not too much of.
Precisely. They're vital for things like nerve function, fluid balance, but only in the right amounts. Any extra has to be expelled, often, along with the urine.
Okay. Still feels sort of logical. Anything less obvious.
Oh, yeah. This often surprises people. Extra vitamins.
Really? Vitamins?
Yep. Now, fat-soluble ones like A, D, K, they can be stored in your body fat. But the water-soluble ones like vitamins B and C, if you have more than you need, your body just passes the excess right out in your urine.
Wow. Okay. It doesn't hoard them?
Nope. And similarly, if you take certain medicines, including things like antibiotics, maybe in extra quantities, your body is pretty efficient at processing those and passing out what isn't needed or used.
That actually blows my mind a bit. I mean, nitrogenous wastes, okay, I get that. But thinking our body is so finely tuned that it's tracking excess vitamins and clearing out leftover bits of medicine. It really highlights the incredible precision, doesn't it? Like this tireless internal quality control team.
It truly is. And the main system leading that charge, the sort of master filter, is what we call the renal excretory system.
Renal, meaning kidneys.
Exactly. It's made up of a pair of kidneys, two tubes called ureters, a urinary bladder, and another tube called the urethra.
Okay, let's zone in on those kidneys first. They're the stars, right? What do they actually look like, and where exactly are they tucked away inside us?
Right. Imagine two reddish-brown organs, each shaped pretty much like a kidney bean, enough said.
Huh.
They're nestled quite securely towards the back of your abdomen, sort of one on each side of your spine, roughly level with your last two ribs. The right one sits just a little lower than the left, actually, usually because of the liver above it.
Interesting. And inside, is it just like a sponge? Or?
Oh, no, much
Oh.
more structured.
Oh.
Inside each kidney, you can basically see two main regions. There's an outer, darker area called the cortex. That's where a lot of the initial filtering happens.
Okay.
And then there's an inner, lighter region called the medulla. Here, things get more concentrated, refined. The medulla is kind of arranged in these cone-shaped sections that drain the urine into a central collecting area, like a funnel, called the renal pelvis.
Renal pelvis, okay. And from there?
From the renal pelvis in each kidney, the urine flows down into the ureters. These are basically narrow tubes, one from each kidney, running down to the urinary bladder.
Which is a storage tank.
Exactly. It's a muscular bag, sits low down in the abdomen, designed for temporary storage of urine. And then finally, leading from the bottom of the bladder to the outside of the body, there's a single tube called the urethra. It's noticeably longer in males than in females.
Got it. So kidneys filter, ureters transport, bladder stores, urethra expels, a whole plumbing system.
A very sophisticated one, yes.
But you mentioned the filtering happens in the kidneys, inside the cortex and medulla. What are the actual microscopic bits doing that heavy lifting? This is where it gets really wild for me.
Ah, you're talking about the nephrons.
Yes, that's the word.
These are, well, millions of tiny microscopic tubular structures packed inside each kidney. They're sometimes called renal tubules.
Millions.
Millions. They are the fundamental structural and functional unit of the kidney. I mean, this is where the real action is. Their main job. Filter blood, purify it, and produce urine.
Okay, so how do they do that? Walk us through it.
Right, so blood, carrying both the waste products and useful stuff the body still needs, enters the kidney through a big vessel called the renal artery. Okay.
This blood then flows into networks of tiny capillaries associated with each nephron. And the nephrons act like incredibly selective sieves.
Sieves, okay.
They pull out waste substances, things like excess water, those mineral salts we talked about, urea from the blood. This fluid that's filtered out is called primary urine. But, and this is absolutely crucial, they don't just dump everything. These incredibly clever nephrons then meticulously reabsorb the useful substances that your body still needs.
Like what?
Things like glucose, essential salts like sodium and potassium ions, some water. Stuff the body definitely wants to keep. They pull it back out of the primary urine and put it right back into the blood.
Wow. So it filters and recycles.
Exactly. So the blood that finally leaves the kidney through the renal vein is purified. It's free of those wastes, and it has just the right concentration of water and other useful substances.
That's amazing.
And the fluid left behind in the nephron after all that reabsorption, that's the final urine, it travels down collecting ducts into that renal pelvis we mentioned.
Then the ureters, bladder, urethra. Precisely. That's the path. And normal human urine, what comes out is mostly water, but it contains that urea, some uric acid, and various mineral salts that the body needed to get rid of.
Millions of tiny units, each doing that precise filtering and reabsorbing. It really is a micro-marvel, isn't it? The body's own super efficient recycling program running constantly.
It absolutely is. Now, the kidneys are clearly the primary players, the MVPs of excretion, you could say.
Yeah.
But does that mean they're carrying the entire load? Are they the only organs involved in keeping us clean inside, or are there maybe other accessory organs helping out?
Good question.
Are there?
Yes, definitely. We have several accessory excretory organs that play important supporting roles. Think about your skin.
Okay, sweat.
Exactly. The skin's major excretory function is producing sweat. Sweat is mostly water, but it also contains excess salts and even small traces of urea and uric acid.
Huh. Didn't realize urea was in sweat, too. Tiny amounts, but yes. And of course, when sweat evaporates, it cools you down. That's thermoregulation. But the excretion part is getting rid of those excess salts and water. Those sweat glands are located just beneath the skin surface.
Okay, skin. What else?
Your lungs.
Lungs. How are they involved?
Well, every time you breathe out, you're exhaling carbon dioxide, right?
Yeah, CO2.
That carbon dioxide is a major waste product from cellular respiration, the process of breaking down glucose for energy. It gets transported by your blood to the lungs, passes into the air sacs, and poof, you breathe it out. That's a form of excretion, too.
Clearing out gaseous waste. Makes sense. Any others?
Yes, one more really big player, the liver.
The liver comes up again.
It's a metabolic powerhouse. We already mentioned it breaks down excess amino acids to produce that urea, which then goes to the kidneys to be excreted in urine.
Right.
It also deals with those bile pigments from old red blood cells. And like we touched on, it processes excess vitamins and helps break down and eliminate many drugs or toxins that might accumulate there.
So the liver is kind of like a pre-processing center for the kidneys in some ways.
You could think of it like that for things like urea, yeah. It prepares certain wastes for their final exit via the kidneys or other routes.
Wow. It really is a team effort then, isn't it? Skin, lungs, liver, all supporting the kidneys, each doing its specific job to keep the whole system clean and balanced.
That balance is absolutely key. And, speaking of balance, there's another critical job the kidneys do besides just filtering out waste, like urea.
What's that?
They play a vital role in maintaining the perfect concentration of water and salts in your blood. This regulation is called osmoregulation.
Osmoregulation, okay.
It's essentially how your body decides precisely how much water to hold on to and how much to let go of in urine based on your hydration level, salt intake, and what you're losing through sweat and breathing.
So that explains something I've always noticed.
What's that?
Like during summer when it's hot and you're sweating more, you definitely seem to urinate less often than in winter, right? And when you do, the urine seems, darker, more concentrated.
Exactly. That is osmoregulation in action right there. Your kidneys are conserving water because you're losing more through sweat, so they reabsorb more water back into the blood and produce a smaller volume of more concentrated urine. In winter, you sweat less, so they let go of more water.
That's fascinating. Such a finely tuned response.
It really is an incredibly dynamic system.
Okay, so we have this amazing, complex, efficient system. But like any complex system, things can sometimes go wrong, can't they?
Yeah.
What happens when this intricate network faces challenges? What are some common issues? And I guess, what happens if the kidneys themselves start to fail?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not infallible. There are several common disorders of the urinary system. One people hear about a lot is kidney stones.
Ouch, yeah.
These form when certain substances in the urine, things like calcium oxalate, calcium phosphate, sometimes uric acid, become too concentrated. More concentrated than the fluid can keep dissolved.
So they crystallize.
Exactly. These tiny crystals can then stick together and form stones, which can range in size from tiny grains to, much larger. They can cause really severe pain, especially if they move into the ureter, and they can block the flow of urine.
How do you avoid those?
The biggest thing is drinking enough water. Keeping the urine dilute helps prevent those crystals from forming in the first place. Really makes you think twice about skipping that glass of water, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Okay, what else?
Urinary tract infections, or UTIs. These are pretty common, especially in women.
Right.
It's basically a bacterial infection anywhere along the urinary system, bladder, urethra, sometimes kidneys. Symptoms often include that strong, frequent urge to urinate, maybe a painful or burning sensation during urination.
Treatable, though.
Oh, yes. Typically treated effectively with antibiotics. Then there are things doctors look for in the urine as indicators. For example, the presence of glucose sugar in the urine is a classic sign of diabetes mellitus.
Because blood sugar is too high. Exactly. Normally, the nephrons reabsorb all the glucose, but if blood sugar levels are way too high, the nephrons get overwhelmed and some glucose spills over into the urine.
Okay.
And finding blood cells in the urine is also a red flag. It can point to various issues, maybe an infection, a tumor, some internal bleeding, or actual damage to the kidneys or urinary tract. It always needs investigation.
Right, so those are issues within the system. But what about the kidneys themselves, the main filters? What if they become seriously compromised or stop working properly?
Yeah, that's kidney failure or renal failure. Now, if just one kidney fails, perhaps due to disease or injury, a person can often manage surprisingly well with just the remaining healthy kidney. One kidney can usually compensate and do the work of two.
Okay, that's good to know.
But if both kidneys fail or their function drops below a certain critical level, that's a much more serious situation. The blood quickly gets overloaded with urea and other toxic waste products, fluid balance goes haywire, and yeah, it can be fatal if it's not treated.
So what are the treatments then? What are the options?
Well, the main treatment for complete kidney failure is dialysis.
The machine that cleans your blood.
Exactly. Hemodialysis uses a machine, an artificial kidney, to filter the wastes and excess fluid directly from your blood. Patients typically need treatments several times a week for several hours each time. It's a lifeline. It keeps people alive and relatively well.
Right.
Another option, if possible, is a kidney transplant.
getting a new kidney.
Yes. A healthy kidney from a donor, either a living donor, often a relative, or someone recently deceased, is surgically placed into the patient. The donor kidney takes over the job of filtering the blood.
And the donor, if they're living.
A living donor can live a perfectly normal, healthy life with just one kidney, assuming their remaining kidney is healthy. And for the recipient, a successful transplant can offer freedom from dialysis and a much better quality of life. It's truly a gift of life.
Incredible. Okay, we've talked about the processes, the organs, the problems.
Yeah.
But I think we need to circle back to the sheer scale of what these kidneys are doing. You hinted at some big numbers earlier. Let's hear them. How much work are these unsung heroes really churning through every single day?
Right. The numbers are genuinely mind-blowing when you stop and think about them. Remember those tiny nephrons, the microscopic filtering tubes?
Millions of them, yeah.
Okay. Well, each individual tubule is maybe 4 to 5 centimeters long. Doesn't sound like much, right?
Not really.
But there are roughly 2 million of them combined in both your kidneys. If you could somehow string all those tiny tubes end to end, their total length would be more than 16 kilometers.
16 kilometers. Are you serious? Inside my kidneys?
16 kilometers, or about 10 miles. Imagine that packed into those two bean-shaped organs.
That's unbelievable. Okay, what about the filtering volume?
Get ready for this. About 1 liter of blood flows through your kidneys every single minute.
A whole liter per minute.
Now, over 24 hours, think about how much fluid gets filtered out of the blood by all those nephrons to create that primary urine we talked about. It adds up to an incredible 180 liters.
Wait, 180 liters? That's like a full bathtub every day.
Pretty much 180 liters of fluid initially filtered out. But here's the really astonishing part, the efficiency kicker.
Yeah.
Out of that 180 liters of primary filtrate, your nephrons reabsorb almost all of it back into your blood. About 179 liters gets reclaimed.
Yeah.
So the final volume of urine that actually leaves your body each day is typically only about 1.5 liters.
So out of a bathtub full of filtered fluid, only a small pitcher's worth actually leaves as waste.
Precisely. The rest, the good stuff, the water, the salts, the glucose your body needs, is meticulously put back into circulation.
That level of reabsorption, that efficiency, it's just staggering. Our bodies reclaim almost everything useful, discarding only what's truly waste with such incredible precision. It's phenomenal biological engineering happening right now inside all of us.
It really is. And that, I think, is the core takeaway from this deep dive, isn't it? Your body has this incredibly sophisticated multi-organ excretory system. The kidneys, with their millions of tiny nephrons, play this absolutely crucial central role in a continuous vital process, keeping you alive, keeping you balanced.
Yeah.
The importance of this constant waste removal, this filtering and rebalancing act for your overall health, you just can't overstate it.
Absolutely. It makes you think. Next time you take a sip of water or even just, breathe out that CO2, just take a second to consider those incredible 16 kilometers of tiny tubes working nonstop inside you. This system is processing more liquid than a full bathtub every single day, keeping you healthy, keeping you balanced by deciding with its unbelievable precision what stays and what goes. It's this constant invisible dance of life happening in organs we barely even think about. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other unseen marvels are just ticking away inside us right now, keeping everything perfectly balanced without us even realizing?